Continuing to unpack the choice of the German submarines for Canada's new submarine fleet, the federal government making that announcement earlier in the week. But my next guest has called it a fake announcement. What does he mean by that? Jeff Kibble is the Shadow Minister of National Defence Procurement. He's also a Conservative MP for Cowichan-Malahat-Langford, and he's joining us on the line right now. Sir, how you doing?
Hey, very good. Thank you. Just keeping myself super busy right now.
Yeah, it's funny. Summer might be here, but when it comes to federal politics and news, there's no end of stuff to talk about, including this the submarine decision. And when I was looking through all of the reaction to this, kind of after it kind of came out on Monday, your news release caught my eye because you've called this a fake announcement, and I'm kind of curious what you mean by that, because we've had it sounds like, the bid has been chosen. Canada's chosen the German bid, 4 submarines to arrive first, and then, 12 eventually could be coming. That's what we've heard so far. Why call it a fake announcement?
Well, great question, and we don't even know if those first 4 are going to arrive. Let's be frank. The government has gone from having 2 shortlisted bidders, and all the announcement was one of them was named a preferred bidder, and they're going to continue negotiations. So right now there's no contract, no costing, there's no timeline. And, the Navy's rightly getting excited. The government saying, hey, look at us, we're buying all these submarines. Let's be clear, no contract, no announcement, or the announcement is only more negotiations. So, this was timed, of course, right ahead of this week's NATO summit. So it can, give a bit of substance, but really it didn't match the moment. And, even once a contract is signed, it's going to be another 7 to 8 years. There's a bit of discrepancy between what the potential contractor is saying and what the government's saying. But so really the announcement was going from 2 shortlisted contractors to negotiations with a preferred contractor, and the other contractor is now the alternate in case things don't work out, in the Prime Minister's own words.
So maybe it would have been more genuine for the government to say, we've now selected a preferred bid that we will continue to negotiate with, rather than saying it's a done deal?
Yeah, well, and they didn't say the word done deal, but the media and people, and then everybody's running off going, hey, it's a done deal. We're getting these submarines. Listen to it very closely, what they said. And, there was lots of implications it was a done deal. But it is just the government is now going into more negotiations. Look, it's a bit of an illusion, and people are getting excited for it. Replacing the submarines is long overdue and welcome, but even that has a few problems. For example, the our North Strong and Free document of 2024, the government put out, called for the government to have a national security strategy for deciding what types of equipment and what our plans are, what the threats are. They've not put that out, even though their own document calls to have one out every 2 years. And that was what would guide, it would be the foundation of purchasing submarines. So in my mind, you need a national security strategy first, which they skipped. Then you need operational requirements, and they've done that part. And the Navy has the Navy has said both of these 2 submarines meet their needs. And then the third is economic benefit, and we've sort of seen a reverse. They've really been concerned about the economic benefit. They've met the operational requirement. They've not produced and have not have this foundational national security strategy. They're doing it wrong, and they're doing it slowly. We should have had submarines, 10 years ago. But so it sounds all really good, but when you look behind the curtain, the facts just don't line up with the hype.
Do you have any worries that maybe we don't get across the line if, like you said, it's not quite a done deal yet, despite the sort of appearance of that on Monday, if we still have more work to do on this bid? What are you worried at all that maybe it falls apart or something doesn't happen?
I don't know. The government is still in negotiations with a now preferred contractor, and that gives away a lot of their leverage. Right? Because they've now indicated they have they've gone into negotiating a contract but saying that they have this preferred contractor. So they've given up leverage, and we don't even have a price or a timeline or anything. So who knows whether they'll get anything done. Look, as I said, the Navy needs these submarines, but this is not a milestone. And in the press, I'm not sure where all the excitement comes from, because the Prime Minister, in his announcement, clearly said we now have a preferred contractor and we are going to continue negotiations. And he even said we're not going to give more details. And the parliamentary budget officers made 3 requests, which is on his website, for details on the government spending plans, including our NATO targets, and they haven't got any response. So this is not a way to do procurement. It's all hype, and the details are being hidden by the Prime Minister's own words, and the parliamentary budget officer can't get details on spending. So that's why I called it a fake announcement when you look at what's actually there.
Okay, there you go. Just look at the fine print a little bit here, everybody, because maybe the announcement isn't quite as locked in as it was made to sound earlier this week. Talking to Jeff Kibble, he's the Shadow Minister of National Defence Procurement and Conservative MP for Cowichan-Malahat-Langford. Look, we're right at a time. Just a last quick question for you, though. Even though, as you said, don't get too excited yet because it's not a done deal. The direction that is being announced, though, the German bid over the South Korean bid, do you think that's the right one?
Both of those submarines met the Navy's operational requirements, but as I said earlier, it does not meet a national security strategy, which Canada doesn't have, and the government's own documents say we should have. So until we have a national security strategy, we shouldn't be making procurements of these massive line items, because we don't have a valid threat assessment to determine the strategy that we need as a country and the direction that the country wants to go forward. When they have that foundational document, then they can get on to the next step. But yes, both those submarines do meet the Navy's requirements. We don't know if it meets Canada's national strategy because we don't have one.
Good stuff. MP Jeff Kibble, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day.